Hi, I'm McCarthy, and I help people with their breakups. And today I have a really interesting topic, masculine energy, which is a great YouTube channel. I'm sure he'll trademark the phrase one day, Kyle will. He's got a great channel, but more than his channel, I'm talking about masculine energy, masculinity, how to increase it, what to do, because I'm noticing a lot of people in the live stream, a lot of people in comments, this common narrative is to call out people on being beta or non-masculine or having feminine energy. And I get it. There's a lot of information out there on it. There's a lot of stuff about it. And masculine men are more attractive overall to the general population of women. Would you agree or not agree with that? Put that in the comments below. And this is going to be a really interesting topic. And the way I'm tackling it is a little bit different. So as I always do in the live streams, I will talk about this topic for the next 15, 20 minutes. And if you have some comments about it or how to increase masculinity, what's different about this is I'm finding a lot of people are spectators. A friend of mine used the word Captain Obvious. They're pointing out the obvious when someone is quote unquote beta or quote unquote feminine or quote unquote weak minded. What do people do to become more masculine? What do men do to become more masculine? There's a lot of women that have masculine tendencies, by the way. And so go for the difficult types. Okay, so not the nice guys. Well, women are attracted to the rough edges sometimes is what I've read before. I think that was No More Mr. Nice Guy. But where I'm going to go with this is how can men increase their masculinity or their masculine energy, if you will, instead of the idea of just pointing out what they're doing wrong or pointing out that they're weak or needy or clingy or feminine, right? And so where I'm going with this, thanks for joining as always. I know it's a Saturday night over there for you. So I'm not sure how many people will be on deck a late Saturday night. There's going to be a lot of people out and about, right? So how to improve your masculine energy? So first, let's start with modeling. Do you know what modeling means? It means that if you want to be a great fisherman, find another fisherman that has been fishing for 20 years, 30 years, and you go, this guy catches a lot of fish, catches a lot of big fish. And I'm going to go to him and try to model the way he casts the line. I'm going to model what pole he uses, the bait, and I'm going to pick his brain a bit. And so we don't have someone on the show today, which is something I'll probably do in the future. And this is probably going to be a chapter in my book because I think it is very important. It's just something that comes up all the time. And I'm tired of people pointing out where people are being beta or feminine instead of saying like, well, how can they become more masculine? What are the habits that make a masculine man? Okay. And so what I've done without identifying these individuals is I've thought about 4 people I've known in my life at 38 years old, 4 different people. And I'm not necessarily going to all give them their names, but one of them I'll just tell you is my father. And so where I'm going with this is my father's a pretty masculine guy. So starting with him, why are they masculine? Background on them, what makes them masculine? So let me start with the first one. So this is almost like a case study. Why I'm talking about my father is I know him well. So this isn't someone I just met or I just work with. I grew up with him. So I'm pretty well aware of my father being a masculine type guy. Okay. So let's start with a few different questions on grading the masculinity or the level of it. And what's interesting about masculinity or masculine energy is there's different levels. And I think it's one of those things, I believe it's one of those things that is fleeting. It's up and down. Some men carry it longer than others, but there's certain moments where a man can cry, where a man can be into a certain fashion or have an ice cream in a park and smile and, do some things that are just a little bit feminine to some people. But the first question, how are they with women overall? So first, my father's been married to my mother for 45 years. I know it's congratulations. It's been rocky at times, but overall 45 years is a high achievement. So next question would be, are women drawn to to them. For this one, for my father, I don't know. I would definitely say they're not repelled. My father does flirt and look quite a bit, but he doesn't ever cross the line. Does their masculinity affect their lives positively or negatively? So this is a really good question. In my father's case, I would say it's both. So a lot of times we're just thinking about masculinity in regards to attracting women, right? Because that's where we're at with a breakup. That's where we're at with a lot of these channels and why it's negative. Positively, my father makes decisions. He doesn't dwell on things. He doesn't apologize a whole lot for stuff. He pretty much knows his principles. He knows what he wants. On the flip side, if he goes to buy a truck or a car, he usually decides in about 10 minutes he's a salesman's dream, because he doesn't get involved in a back and forth. He wants the truck. He'll maybe say a price or two. He won't look around for much further. And my father was also I said your masculinity a lot of times depends on your job, your career, where you spend most of your time. My father was a truck driver. I think 90% of the guys 90% of the people he worked with were men, and rough type men, right? Rough guys, tough guys, big guys, right? They're truck drivers. It's a subculture. Now, some people say, oh, there's some women that drive trucks. There is. Is there many? No, it's probably 90%. So this contributed to that. Are they successful? My father's got a pretty good pension. He's got a house. He still has his wife. So I'd say overall, pretty good. What I've noticed in these four people that I'm looking at that I've come across in my own life is they have some similarities. They're not all the same. So my father's 70. The next guy I'm going to talk about is, I believe, 49. And the guy after that's in 40, I believe, or 41. And the next one is also 72. But are they successful? I'd say all four of them are mildly to okay successful. This isn't a successful test. It just means that they're in a comfortable place. They're making ends meet. They're not struggling. But one thing they do have in common, all four of these guys or men that I'm thinking about that are, and the reason I'm coming across them is because I'm going, who are the most masculine guys that I know or I come across the most often? And these are the people I'm talking about. One thing about them is they don't give in. All four of them. They don't give in. They're not afraid for what they want. If they want something changed or they want something done, they'll ask and they'll insist, and they won't negotiate that much on it. If they want something for a certain price or they feel something's wrong, they don't give in. All four of them. Extremely non-apologetic. All four of them. Okay. In some way, I would say all four are stubborn in a lot of ways. All four are selfish, to be quite honest. They usually put themselves first. Not always, but most of the time, I'd say. They are leaders. And they can burn bridges and not look back. I'm looking at all four of these people, and these are four people I've known for a long time in my life. Two of them are really good friends. Two of them are family members. And so these, like I said, these aren't just people I work with. But they're leaders. People tend to follow them. They tend to listen to them. And they can burn bridges and not look back. A lot of times you go, oh, don't burn a bridge. These four guys that I'm saying are extremely masculine. They'll burn a bridge in a second and they'll go, I don't give a fuck. That person crossed me, or that person didn't do this, or they didn't line up with my principles, and they just don't look back. So the second guy, who I said was about 49, he's a teacher. I've known him for about 10 years. He's from Wales. He grew up playing rugby. So looking back, a lot of the masculinity that's built up, okay, this is quite interesting. And this would be really good for an article probably, because it might be convoluted in the way I'm explaining it. Looking at my father grew up with two brothers. He was the oldest, and he had a younger sister. So he's always, had two brothers that he was fighting with or roughhousing with. And then he went straight into the Marines at 18 years old. So right there, you have a pretty good base of, masculinity or acting like a man, right? You go into the Marines at 18 and Vietnam. That's going to change you. And then you go straight into being a truck driver. Now, my other buddy that's from Wales that has become a teacher, he grew up playing rugby. He grew up on a farm, and I think he was one of 7 kids, and he ran away from home at 14. Extremely masculine dude. Okay. Good guy, highly loyal, great friend. But if you say something or he doesn't agree with you, he's gonna have a confrontation, not necessarily physical, but he will not back down. And he is extremely hard to work with. I've never worked with him directly, but he always has a problem at work where people toe the line with him, and he doesn't back down to nothing. He's extremely good with women without trying, because women like him. He's a leader. He's not a big guy. He's fairly short and good shape, but he just doesn't back down from nothing, right? And women are drawn to him also. Going to the next guy, who's about 40. This is a family member of mine who I've known for years. Extremely masculine. Didn't grow up with any brothers, but grew up very independent when he was young. Had some issues with his parents. Was out of the house at 15 years old, very young. Got married with kids young. Took that on. Was also a mechanic. And was someone that got in some, how should I say, legal trouble with the police. And like I said, this individual, if you met him, masculine individual. He's got masculine energy, absolutely. Extremely stubborn. I don't know how I would say with women overall, but he's held his wife for about 20 plus years, which is an achievement in the 21st century, through some ups and downs. So I would say if you're going to judge how someone is with women overall, the ability to keep one woman that's a good woman, that's a good wife, which obviously for my father would be true because that's my mother. And for this individual, I would agree he has a very good wife, is a masculine quality, right? To make a relationship last and to have the ability to have a long-term relationship of 20 plus years. Now, the last person, he's 72, 73. I've known him for about 10 years. And he's got an interesting background. He's got a brother and a sister, grew up in Ohio, grew up a football star, high school football star, had a scholarship, was also in trouble with the law, did some jail time, which 2 of these people have. Also extremely good leader, has always been a boss, has owned multiple restaurants, currently has a long-term relationship with a girlfriend where he basically, he's the leader in the relationship. That's apparent. He talks in a way that it's always for him and his benefit. He can be a bit selfish. But I would say overall is pretty successful, takes care of himself, and is highly independent. So all 4 of these individuals, if I could throw some more on about them, highly independent, not afraid to make a decision that might shake things up or someone will go, really, you did that? Don't really worry about what other people think. Interesting side note, 2 of them always shave their heads and 2 of them always comb their hair back straight. It's random as hell, but that's a masculine look if you think about it. So let me see how many more people are still with me after I go on. Okay, we got 7 still on deck. How to increase your masculine energy, top 10. Here we go. And if I were you out there in the comments below, if you have someone that's a friend that's extremely masculine, and right now in the media we have, or YouTube, we have David Goggins, we have Jocko Wilco or Wilnick. Put it in the comments below. These guys are ex-Navy SEALs, right? And someone's like, oh, these guys know about masculinity. Well, they're Navy SEALs, right? I mean, they were trained to be masculine, okay? Think about those things. The person that you think is the most, how are they with women overall? Are women drawn to them? Does their masculinity affect their lives positively or negatively? In my book, it's usually both. Are they successful? In most cases, yes. Do they share these characteristics? They don't give in and aren't afraid to ask for what they want. They don't apologize a whole lot. They can be stubborn at times. They are leaders, and they can burn bridges and not look back. Okay. So getting back to the top 10, how to increase your masculine energy, top 10. Number 1, please write these down if you're thinking to yourself, I'm a bit feminine. Join a team of men with a common goal. This could be a sports team. This could be a recreational league for baseball, football, basketball, a club. There's something called the Elks Club in America, a hunting club, something where you're with men and you guys have a common goal. It could be a business. Number two, have a competitive meetup with men, something where you're competing with men. Poker night is a big one. Team sports, if you like to play soccer, and this doesn't necessarily mean to be in a league, but you could just show up to a park and play basketball. That's what I've done for years. There's local parks, and that's what I love about basketball. Anywhere you go in the world, you can kind of find a run if you're looking for it. If you're really into poker, you probably could find a poker night if you look hard enough, if you're in a big enough city. Have a competitive meetup with men, okay, where you're interacting with men regularly. Number 3, choose a career where you primarily work with men. If you really want to be masculine, careers, professional ball players. If you look at baseball players, they all got beards, they all got to walk and to talk to them. That's extremely masculine. They're working with all men. Military men, extremely masculine. Police. I know that all police are not men, but a majority are. Let's be honest, 60 to 70%. Firemen. These are jobs that are masculine pursuits that have a lot of masculine energy. And if you do these jobs, you most likely will be more masculine as an individual. And put it in the comments below if I missed a job that you consider to be highly masculine and I'm not putting it up there. Number 4, get physical. That can mean a lot of things. Use your body to push yourself. Get stronger from your job or the gym. So, for example, I mentioned my father was a truck driver. They had to actually lift a lot of crates. And so his job was a workout, right? And a lot of the guys that were truck drivers have big forearms. They always carry a lot of pallets and boxes every day, and it adds up. And so if you don't like going to the gym, if you have a job where you're physical and you have to do physical work with a sledgehammer and things like this creates more testosterone and masculinity. Muscles and size are masculine, right? Number 5, grow a beard. Not just facial hair, but grow a beard, grow long hair. You ever watch Braveheart? I don't think there's a feminine guy in Braveheart, right? They all have long hair and beards, Vikings. This isn't by accident. If you watch baseball, even if you watch basketball, I'd say half the league has a beard. And this has to do with masculine interaction. Number 6, don't care what people think of you. Simple. Sounds simple, right? In my experience, men that are extremely masculine don't give a fuck what someone thinks about them. They can show up in a pair of pink socks because they had to wear them because that's what the bride's groom or something wanted them to wear in a wedding, and they could give a fuck because their masculine energy is so high that they don't really care what people think. They know who they are and what they like. Number 7, laugh at threats. Someone threatens you with something. I've literally seen this where someone makes a threat or someone makes some kind of fearful attempt at people that are masculine, and they literally laugh at it. They don't jump up and want to get in a fight. They just show no fear. Number 8, have clear principles. What does that mean? Principles are almost like your personal rules that you don't break. So, for example, you keep your word. You're always on time. You don't make assumptions. These are things that are really good principles to have. And men that are masculine, you'll find, hey, man, I always keep my word. I'm always on time. I don't ever like people being late, and I don't like to be late myself. I don't make assumptions about people. These are strong principles that convey masculinity. Number 9, have ambitious goals you are working towards. Many get caught up in ones they've already gotten and just talk about the glory days over and over again. So this is 2 parts. Have something you're working towards, whether that's a small goal or a big goal. Anything, as men get older, if they want to do woodworking or art or something like that, I don't know. But they should have something that they're working towards at all times that's a goal that's challenging. And what I've seen is, and this is even people in their 30s, People are generally most ambitious in their early 20s, late teens, because no one's beat them down and they haven't saw a lot of failures. So they go, "Oh, I want the 4-bedroom house with a swimming pool. I want, a Mercedes in the garage. I want a pool table." They have all these things they want. And I've seen this before where they get it all and they're 28 years old and then they just sit back and they become lazy and they talk about all the things they have and they kind of become a little bit depressed and sad because they haven't re-upped on new goals. They kind of got to the mountaintop. Now they're just sitting up there having a stogie, right? Going, yeah, this is so great. And if you do that long enough, when you get into your 50s, 60s, and 70s, you're around these people. Literally all they talk about is the past and how great they were. There's an individual I know that's in his 60s and he talks about high school football when he used to play linebacker and he had a great nickname and all this other shit and how great a player he was. And it's cool. I got time for that. But at some point, you're holding on to things that are in the past. And at what point are you going to talk about what you're doing now or what you're doing in the future? Number 10, flirt with women unapologetically. Be yourself at all times with women. If you want to flirt with women playfully in a fun way, don't be apologetic about it. Okay. Be yourself at all times with women. Don't say sorry all the time and don't conform to fit what they want or what they're looking for. A lot of times it's a test. Number 11, bonus one. Dun, 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 dun. Never chase women or repeatedly apologize to them. This is a big one. Never chase women or repeatedly apologize to them. Okay. Still got 7 on deck if they're still here. Rob, this is an interesting topic that I would think that you have some insight on. I went on for 20 minutes there. I hope you guys are still on deck and you guys have some comments on this one. On deck, my chai decline. My chai means not correct in Thai. Sometimes I actually say words that are Thai in my head. Yes, throw some out there because I know that you're big on masculinity and feminine. What do you think about what I said, or what would you like to add that makes a man more masculine? I invited him, actually. It's Saturday night, right? So today it's Sunday morning for me, but it's Saturday night for a lot of you. So I figured maybe there's some people that have other things to do probably. Seth, drop gloves. I've grown a beard for years, but just recently switched hard to the mustache. I keep all over stubble. I've met guys bringing the mullet back. I'm not going in on that, but that stash is back. But the stash is back. Good for you, dude. I like that. If you notice, cops, maybe I'm wrong on this, cops always have a mustache. Stop consuming soy products. Felipe Solis. Interesting story about that. I used to get iced lattes when I lived in San Diego years ago, and I used to get soy lattes because someone said they were better for your skin. One person told me that. And years back when I used to get acne, when I was in my early 20s or something like that, and the job I had used to get it from. Anyways, someone had said soy is better for you. So I was drinking a soy latte, which just sounds extremely feminine. And some guy was like, you know what? You can get man boobs from that. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you didn't know that? It's extremely feminine. I was drinking it for a year. So I have heard that before, Felipe, about soy products having feminine juices in them. Most suggest men subtly chase in the beginning and then back off and let the girl do the pursuing. Corey Wayne tends to think in this direction. Well, of course, you got to initiate something. I agree. So I would say absolutely, you got to have a starter spark of some sort of initiation to show some individual that you have some kind of grain of interest. Unless you are one of those guys that's just damn good looking, damn handsome, the women will tend to come to you more often. But you do need to initiate most of the time. I mean, Rob, or how many guys out there have been in a state, and this isn't just for guys, okay? So, Monica, welcome. Please give your take if you're still on deck. And thanks for the likes, folks. I got a 0 up there. I guess hang out with masculine friends. That's a good point. I think just hanging out with guy groups, and men have lost track of that, right? There's a lot of people living in isolation now, especially in cities. You go to your job, you have a 9 to 5, a 9 to 6, an 8 to 4:30. You come home, you maybe some people play video games, which has never been my thing. You watch Netflix, you cook dinner, and maybe you go to the gym, but you don't have these groups. Like when I was a kid, I'd go to the park and play basketball every day after school. And then I had a group of friends that I used to play basketball with at the Y. Video games, weed, Tinder, Netflix. Well, that's a dream team of isolated things. No one is in parks anymore. Wow. Isn't that amazing? What's up, hippie chick? Welcome. That's amazing. That probably is up there. You know, when I was a kid, I played Nintendo, Tecmo Baseball, or Mario Brothers, but I was never a video game addict at all. And so I just don't relate to it. But I have grown friends that are really into video games and literally will say that they have no time to go to the gym and they're so busy, and I'll come over there at 2 or 3 in the afternoon and they'll be playing video games. I remember hardball. I like Tecmo Baseball, which was, I mean, that's a dinosaur for video games now. Kids stay home and play video games. Yeah, I thought this would be a spirited topic, to be honest. I guess it's just the time right now. The brand new Skinner, you got any thoughts on this? If you're still on deck for masculine energy, masculinity, how to increase it, what to do? If some of the things that I said were true or not true, please. I'm into the topic. Okay. I thought it was interesting when because what I do, full disclosure, when I do one of these topics, I don't spend a lot of time in the morning going over and diving deep on the topic. Eventually, I think this will be a chapter in my book because it just comes up all the time. And the funny thing is, when I was in high school or my early 20s, when I wasn't in the information age that we have now, I don't even remember people questioning masculinity or masculine versus feminine. It wasn't even a topic. But I will say this, the guys on the football team got the most girls, right? Or the jocks, right? Or the band members. So there's something to that. But when I was thinking to myself about, and this is how I would like people to think about this in a different way, instead of looking at yourself and saying, well, I'm feminine or I'm masculine or this, look at the people that you know and that are extremely masculine, that are friends or family members, and kind of look at their body of work and how they operate. But not only that, but how did they get there? Right? Like I mentioned about my father. It's like my dad grew up, his father was pretty masculine. His father was a fireman and then a truck driver, and stubborn Irishman, very, very much his way or the highway. And then my dad had 2 brothers that he shared a room with, right? They were always roughhousing and getting in fights, and they were all big kids. And then he goes into the Marines at 18 years old, enters Vietnam with all men, right? And then he becomes a truck driver with all men at his job, right? And so, you know, hence the combing his hair straight back. My dad used to always have a little bit of stubble. My dad was one of those, he always had would always spit out the window, had a cigarette in his mouth, you know? And by all accounts, masculine, right? And I'm just, one thing I will say though, it hasn't always worked in his favor, right? It's important to know what characteristics women are inherently attracted. Most don't know what repels attraction. I see it all the time. Well, if we're gonna switch the topic to what repels attraction, I think chasing, being clingy, being needy, being controlling, and being jealous would be on deck, right? Those would be the ones that are constantly coming up. I'd say that there's a lot of men that are actually masculine or have masculine energy, if you will, but they can be controlling and jealous. So that combination, even if the guy is, you know, Russell Crowe in The Gladiator, but he's trying to control a woman and tell her what she can and cannot do in the 21st century, it doesn't usually add up pretty well, unless the individual he's with is extremely insecure and just is okay with that. It's incredible how many men have both characteristics. What do you mean by both characteristics, Rob? You mean are both feminine and masculine, or but those types aren't informed, and most men don't want to be open to changing. What I would say to this, Rob, though, and anyone else chime in on this. What I would say to this is, what if someone has a job where they're not interacting with a lot of men and they're not masculine all the time? I don't know if it would serve them. I think there is a place, and some other people correct me if I'm wrong, for men that aren't. And this is the thing. I've had clients in live coaching sessions that on a, feminine scale would be extremely feminine most of the time or whatnot, or this or that, and they don't have very much masculine energy, and it hurts them with women. But that being said, it's not their fault. It's how they were raised. It's their life experiences. It's their job. It's cultivated. And they don't even know it happened until, 20, 30 years down the road. And so I don't think it's easy to change, but you do have, that's why I mentioned 10 ways to improve it today, right? Get in men's groups, hang out with guys. These different things will improve it. But you can't just pop a switch and have your subconscious suddenly acting gruff and tough, right? And especially if you didn't have a masculine father figure in your life growing up, or you had a masculine one that used to beat you down a lot, that can be the opposite also. Interesting. The masculine man who still is clingy, they're out there. But the question is he really that masculine, or is it just a bullshit show? Good question. If they don't have that sort of job, then they have to be open enough to get on YouTube and learn the methods. Yeah, because Rob, correct me if I'm wrong, and this might be personal. You don't have a very masculine job, right? I think you said you're in IT. I could be wrong. You could correct me on that. I wouldn't say anything in IT would be considered quote unquote masculine. Very simply, a lot of guys are not open to change. But I mean, learning from YouTube and actually putting it into action in everyday items. If you're in a group with men playing poker, which isn't my thing, I'm just using that as an example. I grew up going hunting. My father's big on hunting, so I went waterfowl hunting in my teenage years with my father quite a bit and hung out with some rough guys, right? And so that, my language is a little bit rough sometimes because of it, probably. But that was good. That was good for me. And, I grew up also when we'd go hunting, we go on these trips. My dad was never on the phone calling my mom up, explaining himself, or he never had to negotiate while we were going. We just go when it was hunting season, you'd go for a weekend or you'd go for 3 days and you'd rough it. You'd come back, your hands are all dirty and trembling. And, there's birds to clean and different things like that. And so those kinds of things growing up, not everyone had them. These are things that create some level of, I suppose, masculinity, which seems like a strong word, which is that's almost like a oxymoron. I've told so many guys that ask me questions on these topics to only get back to me and tell me if I'm full of shit, yet they still go out and fail. Oh my God. Judy Jack's on deck. I always like your opinion, Judy Jack. Many men have more of a blend as they age. I agree. I think that men, as they get older, especially I would say in their late 60s to 70s, probably get humbled a bit. And they don't have to put the facade on as much, or the full court press, if you will, of masculinity. And so if they have grandkids or they have some tragedy in their life, I know my grandfather, who's quite masculine, lost my grandmother in his 60s. And he lived till about 84, 85. But in his last few years, he really softened up. I mean, he wasn't a very affectionate person for a lot of years and whatnot. I'd come visit him and give me a hug and tell me how great it was to see me. And it was just different. And so he softened up a bit. We call them pseudo alpha. Well, I'm in IT, but I do consult many startups and bigger companies on projects. It's somewhat demanding time. Okay. When I ask that, I'm not saying it's masculine or not. I'm not familiar with it. And so, Rob, in that kind of a atmosphere, do you deal with more men or more women, or is it a mix? Always good to see you. Thanks, Rob. Now on the topic of the blend, do you think women are willing to put up with more things that perhaps slightly repel attraction as they get older? Now on the topic of the blend, do you think women are willing to put up with more things that are perhaps slightly repel attraction? I would say Daryl Campbell, welcome. DC. I don't know if I've seen you on the live stream before. If you have any questions or anything like that, just shoot. I'll get to your question really quick. Now, on the topic of the blend, do you think women are willing to put up with more things that perhaps slightly repel attraction? Depends on the situation. But I would say if you're in a marriage, yes, because the commitment's there. That's part of what marriage is. It's saying, I'm committed, to me at least, I'm committed to working things out when problems occur. I'm committed to not running away at the first problem. And I'm committed to, if you get a little less attractive, I can deal with it. And so I believe that that's the case, that there's a larger commitment in place. But there's so many nuances nowadays and different characteristics that happen in a relationship. And an example I'll give you is a guy I know, I'll have him on the show one time, was in a marriage for 20 years. He's a Londoner. He's from London. But he went over to Canada. So they lived in Canada. They had like 9 acres. And his wife was I think she was a massage therapist, and he was in music. They were married 20 years. No kids. But this guy, he's a pretty confident guy. He's a leader and whatnot. Wife leaves him. Wife divorces him. Short story. Short part of the story. But he said over time, he had lost his job because the music industry had changed. Some things had came up. She always took care of him, whatnot. And he later on told me, because before I've done breakup coaching live, I was literally partially his breakup coach in some ways, and he's doing quite well now. But he told me he had a neighbor that got a divorce that they were good friends with. Now I know they have 9 acres. Where's their neighbor at? They don't have many neighbors, right? And he said this neighbor, as soon as she got divorced, buddied with his wife, and she started doing things she never did before because she was single and this and that. And she later on told my buddy, look, I think I had an effect on her leaving you because she was enamored and excited about the lifestyle I was living on my own. And those are the kinds of things that, regardless of attraction, can affect the relationship. Now, some people, once they're in a relationship for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the connection is so strong that even repelling attraction can just be accepted because they almost look at you as a family member, as a brother or sister, like blood. And so that leaving that relationship just seems, well, I'm not going to do that. And that's where cheating happens. That's where contempt happens. That's where you have a relationship where people are at the dinner table and they're bickering all the time. You know where I'm talking, the people I'm talking about. And so what they've decided is, even though I'm not attracted to you as much as I used to be, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to complain about it. I'm not going to be happy with it, but I sure the hell is not going to leave you, right? Because I'm committed. And so those are different parts of it. And as they get older and as the years get added on to a long-term relationship, it gets more and more difficult to leave because of the connection. Because, and then within that connection is a deep trust, because you know that person so well that you know what their next move is, you know what their favorite ice cream is, what movies they like, and it's comfortable. You can predict things. And so you let go of the attraction being a problem and you cling to the connection and trust of who they are. Now, I often talk about trust, connection, and attraction being the 3 pillars, but I want to add one. I'm changing it up a little bit. I want to add one important ingredient, and I'll probably talk about this on another live stream in detail, is freedom. And that comes with a long-term relationship. The ability to give your partner the benefit of the doubt and not be controlling. So I would say connection, trust, which you'd think freedom is part of trust, but it's so important. I'd give it its own pillar. I'd give it its own title. And a lot of relationships, you trust a lot, but then you trust in a lot of different ways, but then you're controlling. And so long-term relationships need to pull away that controlling aspect and give each other freedom to explore and do things that you want to do, or else your relationship's going to crumble. Is working on yourself staying single, is working on yourself staying single, is that being stuck? Well, Daryl Campbell, what do you need to work on? And is it better to work on those things as an individual or be in a relationship? I would say if there are serious things, for example, if you say, I got a job right now, I'm barely making ends meet, I can barely make the rent, I'm about to lose my car, and you go, that's something I really want to work on. Well, you can't get into a relationship and you don't have any money, right? So it depends on how important the individual situation is before you start putting yourself out there. Because what happens is you're going to have opportunities come your way just when you start putting yourself out in orbit, right? But it doesn't matter if the most beautiful woman finds you at a bus stop, right? If you're not prepared or you're not in a good position to meet someone and be at your best, you're going to end up messing up. It's not about luck. It's about you being in a situation to capitalize on a good situation. So if you working on yourself puts you in a position where when you meet that special woman, or for women out there, that special guy, that you're in a position where you're like, damn, I'm doing pretty well right now. When they ask you about yourself, you feel good. When they ask you about yourself, you feel like, yeah, if you're not interested, that's fine. Because identifying these problems that you have with yourself when you're single is an opportunity. And you don't usually have the ability to work on these things when you're in a relationship, because really, let's put it this way, if you are regularly getting loving, if you're regularly getting attention, why do you need to work on yourself? It's mostly men with a lot of guys that have lots of cash that make them somewhat arrogant at times and tough to deal with. A lot of research learning comes into play frequently. I would say that men that are clingy or feminine, if they have a lot of money, they can still get a lot of women. I would say that that's true. Not sure what you mean by things that repel attraction. I think specifically what he means, if a woman in her 40s or 50s, for example, will put up with things she wouldn't put up with at 25. That's a good point, Rob. Makes sense. I can see that over the long term. Good point. To be fair, in your 40s and 50s, you're a different person. Would you agree? And so, yeah, of course, regardless, you're going to put up with things in a different way because, well, let's put it this way. If you're 25 as a man or a woman, you have more opportunities to get high valued individuals or highly attracted individuals. And I would also say at the age of 25, attraction is more important than, say, connection for some people, or attraction is more important than even trust at some levels. But then when you get in your 40s and 50s, I would say connection and trust are paramount. And attraction is important, but it's probably comes in third or fourth behind freedom. Luna Martinez. Good morning, Vegas finest. Here from the vlog. Hope everyone is doing good during this no contact phase. Thanks for checking in, Luna. Let me know you got questions. Depends on how much she likes him. The more she likes him, the more she'll put up with it. But honestly, it's a give and take. We all have things, baby. Age brings more acceptance. I'll tell you this. I'll give you an interesting one, a scenario that I've seen over and over again. Financials. If you're in your 40s and 50s, and an individual is carrying the load financially, because let's face it, when you get married, that's a big part of marriage, is you're sharing finances. Okay. And that could be a good thing and a bad thing. If one individual makes 200 grand a year and the other individual doesn't work, well, depending on where they live, they could get a divorce and, create a situation where they get half your money and whatnot. But let's just say that there's a prenup written up that says you get nothing. So if you get nothing if we get divorced, and the woman, not the man, makes 250 grand a year as a high-powered lawyer in a big city. And the man has lost his job. He's on disability. He doesn't plan on going back to work anytime soon. He enjoys staying at home. He likes to read books. His wife is a bit fed up, but she's not going to divorce him because she has some pity for him. But on the flip side, the guy isn't really going to try to go out and get another job because his wife makes $250K. They live in a nice house and shit. He reads books and golfs on the weekend. So why try? But the consequence is the wife goes, I'm sick of this after a while, a year or 2 years. You're not doing anything. I make all the money. You don't do nothing. And the husband finds a loophole in the prenup where he goes, you know what? You want to get a divorce? Fine. I have talked to my lawyer, and there is a way that I can get 40% of your salary and half your pension. Now, suddenly someone goes, you know what? Let's work on things. Let's go see a counselor. You see how that works? Circumstances, folks. Circumstances. Those are different circumstances when you're married and you're together long term and you have assets together. It's like people talk about not being in a business with your friends or your family members because it always ends bad. In a lot of ways, sometimes marriage, you're in business together. You might have two separate jobs, but once you start sharing a house and the house goes up in value, you got cars, you got a vacation home. It's interesting. It really gets interesting because someone goes, well, I don't want to leave that. I mean, I think marriages would probably last a lot longer if there wasn't a rule in place that said, you know, you go to a judge and you can get alimony, you can get half someone's salary, or you can get this, or you can get that, because people would go, oh, well, I'm going to work on this because I'm not going to let go of my house. Right. And I've literally heard many, many people that are getting a divorce go, well, I'm going to stay together. We're going to stay together until the kids are 18 or 19 because we want to be parents in the house. And we also, you know, even if we get divorced, one of us is going to lose a bit. One of us is going to have to move into an apartment because I make less money. That's why they stay together. She would always tell me she had no freedom during the relationship. I guess that's why she's done what she's done, going out with her friends a lot after the breakup. Rob, yes, I'm here at the MGM. MGM, wow, dude. I was there when I was 21. That was fun. I'm just thinking of the big green sign. Freedom's big. It has to do with trust, but I think it deserves its own thing. And that's something that comes up a lot. And I think a lot of guys think they're being masculine by being controlling and asking where their woman's going. And they've either been cheated on before or they've had their mother and father split up and they don't trust. They don't trust having a partner doing the right thing. We got 11 on deck. We got 10 on deck. Throw some likes, folks. Cool. I've stayed there many times. Sweet. I've actually got 3 or 4 coaching clients in Vegas that are always telling me to come out there. Luna, if you ever need a used car, I got a good guy out there. He's got a used car lot. I was looking for a place to stay during CCA relationships. I have my own business. So where did that come from, Daryl? You're like added on, but I have my own business. What do you want to ask, Daryl? I don't understand your statement, Mr. Daryl Campbell. If I had connections to discounts for MGM, I'd hook it up. I work inside you work in a nightclub. Well, that's a good place to meet women, I suppose. I'll be there in January. I once stayed at the Motel 6 on Tropicana. And most women that make $250K will not put up with a man like that. Here's the thing, though. This is what everyone loses sight of. Most wouldn't, but then there is an element of the individual and who they are as a person. So there's all these little nuances that people just assume are true for everyone. And it depends on culture. Like some people, they wouldn't want to lose face with their family and divorce someone. I'll give you another one. I'll give you an interesting scenario here. And I've seen this before. This is based on a true story. She's going to be hooking up, but on the other side, she's going to be hooking up with other guys. Completely possible. I suppose it depends on her age. If she's young enough to press the restart button, she's likely out if she's lost attraction. Sure. All scenarios are possible. But I've seen one before. The individual was making 150, 180,000 a year. The husband became a stay-at-home dad, which was admirable, taking care of the kids. They had 3 kids, and they said that that after school care and whatnot would be expensive, so why not? And then suddenly she wants a divorce. She goes, "Look, it's not working out. I want you to move out." They didn't have any prenup or anything like that. "I want you to move out. I want you to do this." And instead of him going, "Well, you know what? I'm going to fight for the kids and I'll move out of an apartment. You can have the house." He went on offense and he goes, "Hey, look, if you're thinking about this, I'm just going to move away." Kind of a twist, right? He didn't, because he's a great dad. He's been there for the kids, um, and whatnot. And she thought, well, you'll move into an apartment. We'll get the divorce. We'll do this. We'll do that. She had it all mapped out in her head. And he just threw a twist in there. He went, "You know what? I don't want visitation or anything like that. I'm just," because he didn't have the job, right? So I don't think he was, and I'm not a lawyer and I don't know how this works, but he didn't have any where you're going to get alimony or things like this, because for years she had been supporting the family. And he just basically said, "Hey, look, if you're going to do that, I'm going to move to another city, where my friend lives, and just move away." And it just shocked the hell out of her. "Well, what about the kids?" "Well, they can come and see me once a year." Now that's going on offense. To me, that was a bluff, but it worked. They got back together and they worked on it. That was an interesting way to do things. I was shocked because, like I said, in her head, she was like, "Well, you're going to have to move out. You get your own apartment, and then we're going to do this and that." And he's like, "Nope, I'm not going to buy that plan." He goes, "Nope. And you can have custody of the kids and take care of them. I'll see them twice a year." "What? You're not picking them up for school?" "Nope, I'm moving." "What?" "I already got a plan in place. I already got a job in another city." "What?" That's what he said happened. "What?" It's just like, all the plans that she had developed in her head were like, I'm not saying it was a nice strategy or a tactic, but it worked because they ended up making up, and he basically put her in a position where he said, if you want to get a divorce, I'm not going to make it easy, and I'm not going to just continue doing what I'm doing now, which is obviously underappreciated. If I had connections to discount, okay, sorry. She's going to be hooking up other guys. I suppose it depends on her age. If she's young, okay. Been there, lost half my pension and half the value of my home in the divorce. Stayed in it too long for practical reasons, but after wished I had gotten divorced much sooner. Can't put a price on freedom. It's so true, right? And I didn't even know someone could lose half their pension. That's crazy. In California, dude, pack your lunch. I've never been married there, but I've heard some stories. There was, I think you said you're from the Santa Barbara area, Judy Jack. I actually met in Thailand a couple of cops from Santa Barbara, really nice guys. And they were telling me some stories about divorces. And I was like, wow. Because they're close to, and their salaries in Santa Barbara are quite good, right? I mean, they told me a story about someone that was high ranking in the fire department. And they said the guy literally was living in a 1-bedroom apartment, giving away over half his salary because the wife got 100% of the, I don't know the dynamics of it. It was just crazy, but he was literally making big money and living in a 1-bedroom apartment, just getting by. What about his pension? Do you get half of that? No, he didn't have one. Jeez. Jack Byrne. Yeah, that's so unfair in many ways. And that's interesting, Judy Jack, because everyone always says the woman, does that to the guy. So you're saying it goes both ways. Interesting. Thanks for evening that out. What's up, BU? Brian Union. That's really one of the main concerns about marriage. I've accumulated some decent worth and don't want to throw it away. I mean, it's a reality, right? Depending on where you live, it's a reality. I know plenty of guys out there that they're in long-term relationships. They're good guys. They're partners, if you will, or long-term partners have agreed that financially they both want to be independent of being married. And so I could see in the 21st century how that's, a different dynamic. I would say that the thing that would be, I've thought of this before, is actually instead of just doing a prenup, just have a contract. What if you had a contract for marriage? I've thought of this before, like a 4-year contract like they do in the NBA, and then you can just get released if you don't come up to the standards of the contract. Everyone's gonna be, oh, that's horrible. That's a horrible thing. Think about it. I need advice. Me and my ex had broken up 5 days after she started dating her ex again. I need advice. So Ayu Itzqua, very interesting name. Tell me about your name. I need advice. Me and my ex had broken up, and 5 days after she started dating her ex again, and told me that she doesn't really trust getting back with me yet, that I should wait and see what she wants. Well, that serves her, not you. If she got back with her ex 5 days after you broke up, that's clarity 101. Move forward, move on, stay in no contact. Do not agree to wait to see what she wants. That is extremely weak, clingy, and unattractive. I know you're hurting right now. I know it's difficult. I know you want another chance, but really, let me ask you this. If you guys get back together, or you guy and you girl, if you get back together, are you going to be able to say, like, why did you get back with your ex so soon? You're still going to be questioning things because she's already been seeing someone else in between. You guys need to take a breather. You need to let the smoke clear. You need to take some time for yourself and ask yourself, do I really want to get back in this relationship? And if I were you, send your full story into my website, right, Mac. And I'll give you my take on the story, because that's the only way to give you some tailored advice. When you're 18, you got a lot of life to live, dude. I need to find a new nightlife that doesn't involve drinking. It's always an adventure with you. Just about to hit up a film festival party. Again? Good for you, Rob. How's the women? Do you meet women at these film festivals? Marriage material, Rob? Do you meet feminine women since you're in your masculine? Good questions, huh? Yeah, dude, Brian, I'll tell you the truth, man. I think you told me you're 32 or 33. I'm 38 now, and I did a lot of drinking in my early 30s. And I'll tell you what, man, meeting good women doesn't usually involve a lot of drinking or nightclubs. I know that girlfriends that I've met, or good women that I've met, I haven't met them while drinking, especially on the first time you meet them. So that's an interesting thing, that when you're single, I would say cut back on drinking, and just reassess who you are and what you like to do and what you're good at. Here's another thing that's really interesting, and I hear people do this sometimes. Oh man, I can drink 10 or 11 beers and I'll feel fine in the day. Well, that means you kind of have a problem. You don't want to be good at drinking. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? It's like there's certain things you want to be good at. You want to be a good writer. You want to give good breakup advice, be a good teacher. I don't know. Be a good nurse, Judy Jack. I don't know what your job is, Brian, but when you say, like, when people are bragging, or your friends are bragging about how they can drink 5 or 7 shots of tequila, that's not admirable. It's cool. I mean, it's cool when you're young, like 21, 22, but it's not admirable long term. It's not like, oh man, you don't want to get good at it. And I've noticed that when I'm older, when people are bragging about those kinds of things, kind of like, that's not that cool, right? You go over your friend's house and they got, what's that bottle, that tequila bottle that's so popular now? It's like everyone only drinks this kind of tequila, Patron. They got 20 of them on top of their fridge. That's a red flag. I need to find a new nightlife that doesn't involve drinking. Go to yoga, Brian. Surprise us all and meet a hot yoga instructor. Do something out of the box, Brian, that you're like, I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to go in. Go do Zumba. Do a spin class. It sounds like a rebound. How long ago with the ex previously in the picture? Go no contact. You have to show your worth. Good advice, Rob. Women vote with their feet. Felipe Salas, a man of few words, but words that count. Felipe, where are you from? Solis. No, do a prenup. No, do a prenup. I mean, what happens though when someone brings up a prenup and the other person's like, "Why would you ever do that? Is that a red flag?" That's usually the only answer. At 18, you're gonna date many, many women. Yeah. Tiff clothes. Yeah, I meet women. Good for you. I like the answer. Yeah, I meet fucking women, man. Rob's on point. Yeah, I meet women. Why would you even ask a question like that? Yeah, true. At least I'm not hurt anymore. I was, but not anymore. Well, you're a quick healer. I'll send you a photo of this girl I met recently. Okay. The ex got in the picture exactly when we broke up. Found out they were kissing, but I knew they had sex also. Okay. Bottom line is, dude, you don't even want to, when you break up, I don't know if I just had this in myself when I've broken up, and I'm not a person that's broke up 1,000 times. If you break up and someone starts sleeping with someone else and they start seeing their ex, you're done. It's done. Especially 5 days later, it's done. That's your clarity. It hurts. It doesn't feel good. But there's a lot of people that tell me all the time, they go, "Oh, I wish I knew they were seeing someone else. Then I could be done." The reality is, even if you got back together, she comes back a month later. Are you going to be okay with the fact that she pivoted that quick? Hell no. He may have been laying low in the background. Whatever. I don't drink anymore since I've been focusing on my fixing. Now I don't know where to go now. Yeah. All right. I'll throw some things at you and you pick, Brian, and pick wisely. Yoga, charity work. If you like sports or something like that, go coach a little league team with someone else, or Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, go there. Look at your interests. What else? Fishing. Do you like to go fishing? Not a lot of women that you'd meet fishing, but maybe. Cooking class. Random as hell, right? But can you cook? That's a good place to meet women. I've suggested that to people before, and one guy actually did it, and he said it worked. And in a cooking class, at least you gain a valuable skill for dating. Learn a foreign language. What else would there be? The gym's a good place to meet women, probably, if you're going to the gym. But what I would say, to take it a step further, join a class at the gym. Like, what is that? Cycling class? Spin class? You need to read The 3% Man and Understand Attraction. Do the work, and you will be thankful later. Is that a book? I'll check it out. Ceramic class. My grandma used to love ceramics. When I was a little kid, she God rest her soul. My grandma was a good woman. She was funny. We used to do ceramics when I was a kid. She'd have me come over there after school. Yeah. I mean, well, think about it. You're going to meet a lot of women. Someone might go, "Oh, that's feminine." But if you're masculine and you're the only guy in the class and there's a couple cute ceramic teachers, I'm just saying, be creative, whatever comes to your mind. Learn a new language. The other thing is, I know right now you just started a new job and your finances for moving are tight. But yeah, put yourself out there in any kind of class or group. I don't know. Tell me what are your top 5 interests, Brian, really quick. We'll go from there. Hi, Mac. Hi, Coach Mac. Do you always recommend no contact or space after a big fight? No. I'd have to know your individual story and what happened. If I was giving advice that way, that would just be a guess. There's plenty of times where I've heard people's breakup stories or situations, and I'm like, "Oh, you can contact them." Yes, it's a book you can read online for free. It will clearly explain things at 18 you likely do not know a lot of. Yeah, that's true. 18 is a good time to start reading some books on this stuff. We all want to see her photo. I would say at 18, The Rational Male and Models by Mark Manson. Those would be the 2 books. You really like The 3% Man by Rob? It's okay. It's okay. We all want to see your photo. I was in a similar situation at that age. I know it stings, but you can control how you show up in the future. I like that. That's a great point. But you can control how you show up in the future to a certain extent. Yeah. It's all a learning process, right, Rob? We all want to see her photo, Judy Jack. Should I block her number and block off her socials? Block her off my socials. We work together. That's also a bad thing. So I see the girl every day. If she's seeing someone else, I would say to block her number or to block her socials is completely fine. And if it hurt social media, if you're going to see her with the other guy on social media, isn't that going to hurt you? Be honest with yourself. That's not being weak or needy. That's you taking accountability for your own feelings and go, where's my power in this situation? So I would say absolutely yes. If you work together and your job's not a high quality job at 18 years old, find another job that's better. Make this an excuse for you to find a better job. It's not you running away from the situation. It would be highly uncomfortable, especially if the ex is coming to your job and picking her up. This is the time. If it's just an average job or a job that, I'll give you an example. Let's say you work at a pizza restaurant, okay? Just an example, or a hamburger restaurant, right? At 18 years old. Maybe you got a better job than that. You can go work at another one that's a restaurant, right? So if the job's not special or, it involves some kind of outstanding salary, you wouldn't be out of line to just go, let me move and get a better job and put myself in a whole new atmosphere. That's not weak in my book. That's you finding an excuse to upgrade your job. I low-key just want to get back at her, make her regret it, to hurt her feelings. Sorry. I low-key just want to get back at her, make her regret it, or hurt her feelings if I get her back. Well, that's very good intentions of you, dude. That'll go a long ways in your life. We always want people to feel what we feel, but that's not going to make you feel any better, dude. If I were you, the best way to get back at her is to ignore her and be a stoic about the situation, to move forward with your head high, not looking for ways to booby trap her. I felt like that, Mac. Like I needed to know if she was in a relationship to move on. I logged on to Facebook today and saw she put single on her Facebook. Well, there you go, dude. Now that's going to be eating at you for the next week. You get back at her by becoming the most attractive man you can be. That's how you do it. Do not do anything malicious at all. I'm just going to say from experience, I'm just going to say from my own experience in a breakup that I had a situation, I've talked about it in another video, where I could have done something malicious in some ways to an ex, a character thing at her work. While we were broken up, I came across some information that I could have shared with a lot of people and probably could have felt vindicated or validated in that moment. And I'm so fucking glad I never did that or stooped to that level, because at some point, if you're a high level, high character individual that has some level of pride, you don't need to go to that level. Nobody wins. Okay. Your best way to do it is exactly what Mr. Rob IS said, is working on yourself, being the best version of you. It sounds cheesy. It sounds trite. It sounds self-improvement. It sounds woo-woo, but it's the absolute fucking truth. So the essentials to that, they're quite simple, but people fight them. Go to the gym, get exercise, make sure you get good sleep, start taking care of yourself, stay off drugs and alcohol regularly. All these things that just make you a high quality individual. If you're 18 years old, find a fucking mentor. Find a job where you're going to learn the most at your job. There's all kinds of things, but you need to, if you're going to cling to the fact of getting someone back, you're going to be entrapped in a gray area where you're not going to meet someone else, because it takes a lot of energy using manipulative skills and mapping out revenge. It's not going to serve you. And that's why I recommend, if you feel that way, move, get a new job. I hid in her story and post so none of those pops up, but she stays watching me. Well, don't even worry about that. The Rational Male is a great book for you at 18. I think Rob agrees. I think if you're in your 20s, early 30s, any guy, I just think that's a fantastic book. It's a fantastic book. He writes it very well. It's something we don't see a lot. It's a different point of view. I would say that if that'd be required reading at 18, 20 years old. If my the job is good, pays like 15 an hour, it's good while I'm in college. Is there a job equal or higher value where when you're in college, you want a job that's going to lead to the most growth and learning in the field you want to work in. Do you understand me? You don't want to just go for pay. You want to go, and I didn't know this when I was young. If you want to be a commercial real estate agent, you want an internship with an agent that makes 400 grand a year instead of getting a job that makes $10 an hour. If you want to be a pharmacist, this is random as hell, I don't know where that came from. If you want to be a pharmacist, you need to work at a pharmacy where the pharmacist is the top pharmacist in the city. I don't know, right? So you go to college to get an increased job. Now, if you can find, and I don't know where you live in the world, it's qua, but $15 an hour when I was a kid, that's damn good money. Now, listen to this. When I was in college, I'll just throw this little muffin at you. So when I was in college a long, long time ago, nearly 20 years ago, when I was in college for 5 years, because I went to junior college and was working full time, I was making $20 to $30 an hour on commission selling shoes. So if you say, oh, that's a pretty good job, you can get a better job. Challenge yourself. Let's do this, IU. This is your first challenge, bro. Okay. Can you get a better job than $15 an hour if you just take this newfound time that you have now that you're single? Go, wait a minute, I'm going to find myself a better job than this. I'm capable. Do it. What are you studying in college, just out of curiosity, IU? And where are you at in the world if you want to share that? If you don't, that's just fine. If my boyfriend says he wants some space, what should I do to get my mind off him? I feel like I stopped having a life when we started dating for the last 5 years. You got a new job, Brian? Fuck yeah, dude. You didn't seem very excited about the other one. Good for you, dude. Is this the job you've been waiting on that you were nervous about, or is this a completely other job? If my boyfriend says he wants some space, what should I do to get my mind off of him? I feel like I stopped having a life when we started dating for the last 5 years. Well, if you feel like you stopped having a life after dating, maybe you need some space also, Lisa Smith. What you need to get your mind off him, my short answer, and this is actually a really good answer, you need to change your routine. So what do I mean by that? If you've been with someone for 5 years, this is first and foremost, if you need to take a break, send your story into writemac.com and I'll give you a tailored response. But in a YouTube video, but get some clarity on why you guys broke up or you need this space. Because if you're feeling like you didn't have a life, that's not a good relationship for 5 years. But to get your mind off him, the quickest way is to change your routine. So at 7 p.m. at night, maybe that's when you guys used to have dinner together. At 7 p.m. at night, that's when you go walk your dog. At 7 p.m. at night, that's when you go visit your sister at her job and have dinner with her. You need to fill those places, because what happens is there's triggers. And so certain times a day or certain days of the week, like maybe both of you had Sundays off and every Sunday you went to the beach together. I don't know. Those time slots, you cannot be sitting at home moping, crying, whining, wishing, hoping. Those time slots you need to fill in with things immediately. My thing was, when I broke up, I just immediately said, and I wasn't into running, I'm going to put an iPod in and I'm going to go for a run at a park near my house. And that immediately, just as soon as I would get a little light worry or anxiety or jumpy, I would just go iPod in, running shoes on, and I'd go for a run. And I've talked about this before. I joined a 24-hour gym, which wasn't a gym I went to before. And I started going to the gym at 8 p.m., playing basketball till 11 at night sometimes, instead of being at home from 8 and 11, when that was a trigger moment when I missed having my ex at home. No, if you want to get back at her, do nothing while you're feeling that way. When emotions are raw, decision-making is not its best. Thanks, Judy Jack. You always give clear, concise information. I appreciate you. My friends keep saying to focus on me, but it's hard when I miss him. Well, I'm not saying just to focus on you. I'm saying to change your routine, literally. And take a look at why you broke up and be honest with yourself. Yes, my friend had offered me a job that pays $16 every 2 weeks. I'll just quit this one and start there. I just didn't have my stuff for the job, like social, or I'd be because my ex-parents stole my wallet, and I just gotten it back yesterday. My ex's parents, your ex's parents stole your wallet? That's a red flag, dude. My ex's parents stole my wallet? Wow. Talk about a red flag on the family. Well, I mean, if it's that simple and you got that good a job, I mean, do it. Don't even hesitate. Sounds like it's improvement. Don't even hesitate, dude. And a lot of times crisis is an opportunity for something better because you've been in a comfort zone. You haven't been challenging yourself, and you get smacked in the mouth in a breakup, and you go, wait a minute, let me do some things that shake things up. And a lot of times you get a better result. Skinner, enjoyed the last batch of stories, Mac. Well, thanks, Skinner. I got to work on my website. My website, for some reason recently, I think it's the way it's set up. I've just gotten less stories recently. So anyone that wants to send their breakup story in and get my take, I'm ready. So enjoyed the last batch of stories. Yeah, they were detailed. They were well written. People that if you read my services page on how to write the story, it helps out a lot. It helps out a lot. Well, thanks, Skinner. You like those, huh? Getting back to the nitty gritty of the channel, right? What I'm planning to do is the podcast that's coming soon. I'm wanting to actually do people live. Do people live? That doesn't sound very good. Do live coaching sessions on the podcast. I think that'd be great. But you know what? Honestly, giving my take with the story is really interactive as it is, right? So thanks for that, Skinner. I appreciate you, dude. Guess what, Skinner? I was actually thinking about you yesterday. I was going through the top 100 basketball players on Sports Illustrated's website, and Mr. Levine was number 90. Number 90, lottery pick. D'Angelo Russell was 44. Any questions, folks? Any questions here? I'll close it out in the next 10 minutes. If not, we got 6 on deck. Some people just walked off the stage. They said, that's enough, Mac. I've heard it all. Sent you an email. Thanks, Rob. I'll check after, bud. You sent it to my email. You sent it to my email. That's funny. Mr. Rob. This is a group picture, Rob. Oh, well, I can guess which one is the one you're talking about. Right, Rob? I'm not going to. Rob sends me a group photo of 7 different people, and 4 of them are women. That's funny. I mean, it wasn't a picture with you with some woman or someone you're dating. It's someone that you're interested in and you met. What's up, Dylan? That story where the guy cheated was very interesting because it showed a different perspective. That's the whole point, dude, in these stories is that people are all looking for general advice, and the actual story is how you're telling it to yourself really makes a difference. Well, she was cute, Rob. Good for you, bro. I mean, assuming the one that I'm thinking of is the one that you dated. What does a long text 12 days into no contact talking about our future plans mean? I took it as an insult and didn't reply. Nico Oken. What does a long text 12 days into no contact talking about her future plans mean? Well, she's trying to get your attention without showing interest, also conveying that she's got things going in her future. But I would need to know your full story. Nico, send it into writemac.com. If you've been on my channel before, because I haven't seen you on the live stream before, I don't think. Send it in, and I'll give you my full take. Send the stories in, Nico. Send the full story in, and then you understand what I'm saying, bud? Oh, it's the first time you came on? Go to writemac.com, go to the services page, write your story out, and then I'll give you my take on a public video. If you want it private, it's $65. Some people really like the private because then they divulge more information about the breakup. But ask anyone else on the channel. On the live stream right now, I've read their stories, and you can go read other stories I read if you want to see my style. But I really think it's key in the beginning of the breakup or a situation like this, when you just ask one question. And I'm not putting you down in any way, Nico. I'm just saying one question isn't okay. Go ahead, dude. Send it in. I'm not saying read the directions, because the directions just make the story more clear. Someone will say, "Oh, I'm not." Sometimes people go, "I'm not really good at writing stories." I'm like, I don't need you to create a fucking novel. But the reason I give those instructions is just that it helps. Like you writing, I'm 25, she's 28. That gives me a little bit. I'm a lawyer, she's a teacher, like just a little bit of background. We've been together 4 years. Those are things that I need to know, right? Ages, where you're at in life, different things like that. Lisa Smith. Well, I like your name. Lisa Smith. How many of those are there in the world? Is that a stage name or an author's name? Or is that your real name, Lisa Smith? People come up with some interesting names, huh? Every time I try to talk to new girls on Instagram, they'll be interested, but then ask me, don't I have a girlfriend? And I say I'm single. And then they say, how long have you been single for? I say it, but then the responses are, well, I got one for you, Ayu. Just say a gentleman never tells. Keep some mystery to you. When you keep answering questions, conforming questions, again, read the book, The Rational Male. Do some, man. Sorry, guys. I got to write my own book. It's time. It's time. Felipe, no problem, bro. Maybe it's unpopular opinion, but reading No More Mr. Nice Guy by Robert Glover changed my life more. So, hey, bro, more power to you. I don't mind. I think someone that's in 18 to early 20s, I think The Rational Male is a great perspective because it's just not out there. But if you're No More Mr. Nice Guy, great book. My thing is read a few books. A lot of people are doing these tactics, and I know Instagram's really big right now, right? And so like meeting people that way, do your homework on it, right? And get to know yourself. But what you're doing there, Ayu, is you're just constantly in the woman's frame. Oh, well, how long you're answering to her, you're answering to her. You need to flip the script and somehow become we'll try that run idea and write you my story. Sorry, I got disconnected. Oh, the run, that worked for me. If you live by a park or you live in good, I was in the Bay Area, so the weather's not so bad. Some people will say the weather's not good, Lisa, but yeah, as soon as you get anxiety or you feel bad, get out there and get on a walk or go for a run. And just when you get tired of running, walk and listen to some music. Don't listen to all sad music either. Get out in front of nature and do that. But getting back to Ayu, what are you studying in school, Ayu? If I were you, I'd focus my efforts. Now I'm stuttering. Outside of just Instagram, start cold approaching some women in your class with some common ground. Stop having to answer these questions. Like I said, that's just a good comeback. Gentleman never tells. I'm not interested in talking about my past relationship at this point. What are you up to tonight? What have you been up to this weekend? I really like to get to know you. That's how you flip it instead of going, oh yeah, this. Did you have another question? Yeah, another question. Yeah, okay, another question. I'll just answer everything. What else did you want to know? Do I wear my seatbelt in the car? Yeah, I wear my seatbelt. Take control of the conversation, dude. I love your channel, Coach Mac. Well, thanks, Lisa. Welcome, Nico. I'd prefer public so others can learn from it. Send it in. And let me know out there. You guys can give me feedback about my website right now. I'm going to change it up very soon. I had someone that was working on it that I had a bit of a fallout with. And so I think it's a little bit tough to navigate sometimes, but just tell me. Felipe, that's totally fine. That's a great book. And that's tailored to a specific type of person that's outside of maybe just the rational male, right? And so you sharing that, cool, dude. Any other books that you want to share, go for it. I'm open. I just read Atomic Attraction. And in the beginning, I thought it was a bit silly and redundant, and the second half of it was quite good. A lot of these things have the same message. They just convey them in different ways that resonate with people more or less. Way of the Superior Man's an excellent book. I mean, it's a classic. It's 25 years old. A lot of the messages in that are extremely simple. I'd say 3% Man by Corey Wayne, he mirrors or loosely bases a lot of stuff on the Superior Man, on the Way of the Superior Man, which is fine because most books and most things are a remix now. They're taking ideas that are already been out there and they're remixing them. So the Way of the Superior Man would be up there. I would say off the top of my head, a top 5 books for young men or even men in their 30s that just haven't delved into some knowledge on attraction and being more masculine would be The Way of the Superior Man, The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi, No More Mr. Nice Guy by Dr. Robert Glover. I find that book is more for a particular kind of guy, but it's useful. Models by Mark Manson. Extremely simple information in Models by Mark Manson in my book, but it's conveyed in an easy to understand way. And number 5, off the top of my head, I know I'm missing something that I really like. I really like The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. I think that's a self-improvement book, but it would help you out in your life and your relationships. Women ask me how I got this big scar on my face. I always give some bullshit, ridiculous answer unless it is the 4th or 5th time we have talked. Well, women are attracted to the truth, and scars sometimes are a conversational piece. And so I don't know why you have a scar on your face, but always lead with good intentions and honesty. Because if a person doesn't accept the truth from you, and if you have a scar on your face, I'm sure it wasn't something that you wanted. And so you being real and upfront about that, in my book, for a high quality woman or a high quality individual, they'd be attracted to the honesty. Does that make sense? Answer a question with a question. I do that sometimes. If you're open to it, I would suggest YouTube channels, Alpha Male Secrets, plus Max channels, Masculine Energy. Corey Wayne will give you lots of insight. Rob knows it all. Thanks for including me in that group, Rob, because those are good ones. I like Corey Wayne. I like him. He's cool, man. Of course, Masculine Energy, Kyle. He's good. It's funny because the channel's called that, and so you're like, I'm thinking of the guy that runs the show, and his name's not Masculine Energy, right? It's Kyle. I still don't have confidence to talk to women in public. Dating apps suck. I never get matches. They're either maybe my photos suck. Well, I wouldn't give up on it. I would just re-strategize or change your tactics. But the problem, the elephant in the room, is I still don't have confidence. That's the part. Even if you are getting matches on the dating apps, if you don't have a lot of confidence when you meet up with a top quality woman or a woman you're really excited about on the dating app, you're going to mess up. So first and foremost, work on the confidence. And you're starting a new job tomorrow. That's a fucking good start, dude. And, you got some feedback on a really rough story from myself that we didn't share. So you're doing the right things, Brian. It just takes time, bro. You're doing the right things. I think you got some clarity from me reading that story and giving you some feedback, I hope. This kind of stuff takes time. And what I would say is working on your confidence, right? Working on your confidence. I'll just close that. Working on your confidence. How can you work on your confidence, right? Get a new job, feel good about yourself, go to the gym, exercise, keep showing up in your own life, read some good books, move out of that damn apartment. I'm going into the medical field. Well, that's broad. Check out Alpha Male Secrets and you'll learn lots. See if that resonates with you. Models by Mark Manson's good. It's a great book, Rob. Like Rob, this is why you probably like my channel. I read all this stuff or listen to it on audiobooks. It's great. It's a great book. I would just say that's not necessarily a man book, but it's a nice self-improvement book that's not cheesy at all. And I think me and my ex fell off when she had gotten power in the relationship. My uncle has gave me game on how to get it back, and it was working at the time, but I've broken this blueprint and she got the unless your uncle is skilled in the field, don't listen to him. Well, I mean, if you respect his results, go for it. But I would say some of these books we mentioned, give him some of your time. Nico, I have a large burn on my right hand that I'm insecure about, but I'm more insecure about being bald. Well, the best way to beat insecurity is to accept it. You know, power back. Now she believes I'll wait on her and she can have me anytime she wants. But now I know to not to contact her. Last thing I told her was if she wants me, she needs to be mature and cut her ex off. I wouldn't even say that. I wouldn't even say that. Just keep moving. If he is skilled, then maybe he can be a source. Chicks dig scars. They also dig honesty. Should not have said that last line. He's very skilled. Everything. Yeah. He's very skilled. He said he worked before, even when me and her broke up the first time. He said if she's really done with you, you wouldn't be at her aunt's house eating food. Bottom line is, if she's with her ex 5 days after you broke up, you're done. You're done. That's it. It's over. She's going to have to beg to have you come back. In my book, you need to do no contact and learn traction. Simple as that. Unless he's done the work online with the best mentors in the world, I wouldn't go with that. Laugh out loud. The next day, she begged for me back, but I'm going into no contact and I will focus on myself. I'm also a model, so girls come easy to me now. Well, good for you, dude. Good for you. I hope they're high quality. Okay, good. You're a model. That will help at your age. Why be a part of a relationship where you have to tell someone to cut someone off? Good point, Skinner. My thing is, I just never had this happen myself. Okay, so I've never broke up with someone, been in a gray area, and then they immediately hooked up with their ex, and I'm going, well, I'll get back with it. It wouldn't even be negotiable. I'd be done. I would be done. It's just clarity. It's done. It's damaged goods. You know what I mean? Why is it you only change your mindset when you go through a breakup? Well, in some cases, it's crazy. Because crisis is an opportunity. Because, good question, JC. Because a breakup has spun you in a direction you've never been in before, and all of a sudden you're re-looking at everything in your life, and you're going, well, I'm not happy with this. I'm not happy with that. What can I change and make myself more happy with? It basically puts you at ground zero, but it also makes you look at everything in a different way. But if you're in a relationship that's enabling you to not be at your best, then it becomes comfortable, right? I'm never getting back with her. Okay. Well, if the first step starts with you stopping the idea that you're going to get her back in some vengeful way, because that's ego searching. And it's difficult, especially at 18, man. If I was 18, I wouldn't even be in one of these conversations probably. And so I commend you for coming in here and laying it on the line. Really, anyone? Yeah. Well, I say this all the time, right, Rob? Anyone in their mid-20s to early 20s, your first relationship's not going to be your last relationship. Let's just be honest, folks. Come on. This has been a strong hour and a half. I forgot to have a water on deck. I'm starting to get a little parched. Skinner always comes in with a nice line or two. It's so funny because started out with 6, 7 people. Now we're on 11, 12. Thanks for the likes, folks. If you like the channel, if you like the live stream, throw it down. Mine is 23. I'm 31. Probably should have never tried it. I'm sorry. What is this? I need a little bit more. A little bit more to your story. Mine is 23. I'm 31. My ex is 23. If you are 26, 27 or so, you hook up with someone that chances of a long-term relationship are increased, give or take. Yeah, absolutely. You still are finding out who you are until you're 25, 26. You don't have things have changed. I subbed to your channel tonight, saw your live stream, and got good advice. Thank you so much. Well, thank you, bud. Thanks for saying thank you. I appreciate it. Feel free to send your message in or your story into Right Mac, and I'll read it on a public video if you like. And I wish you the best of luck in the medical field. Stay in no contact. And if you're a model, start spinning some plates. Check the channels I mentioned. You will thank us all later. All of us later. Rob's good people. He likes to look out for people. He's a charitable live stream member. Good thing is you are starting young, which makes you way ahead of others in your age group. Absolutely, dude. If I knew what I knew now, it takes time to figure it out. I only know now. I tried again with my ex after months and I became indifferent. I think some people don't move on because they're scared to become indifferent. Interesting take, Skinner. That could be true, dude. I think that most people are searching for certainty. And what I mean by certainty is you know who your ex is, you know how they act, and even if you don't like it, you know what to expect. And then you get back together and you're like, actually, this isn't what I really want. And this is exactly the reason why relationships that are long become monotonous and boring, is because you know every move that's coming. And this is exactly why attraction 101 is to be mysterious and non-available, right? Because this is what people are attracted to. They're attracted to the open loop of a story. The closed loop is the relationship where I know everything you're going to do, what time you're going to come home, what you're going to complain about, but it's also comfort. It's also comfort. And so why you want to go back to your ex, regardless if the relationship was good or bad, it's a comfort issue. I agree with that, Skinner. I think that's why my ex stayed away this last time. 4.5 years ago, we met. Age difference is 7 years. So she was 19. I was 26. Probably a bad idea from the beginning. If you were together for 4.5 years, okay. I mean, here's the thing. Again, if she's 19 and you're 26, this probably won't be her last relationship of her life. She's probably going to go through some identity changes. What I mean by that, she's going to probably change jobs a few times, finish college. A lot of times when someone finishes university, they also change partners. When someone changes a job or changes their everyday routine, they change their identity, they change their values, they change who they are, and eventually they change who they're with a lot of times. Hi, coach. My boyfriend and I have been arguing a lot lately. He will scream, it's over, but then he won't go through with the breakup. When I agree to part ways, been with him for 8 years. Well, where's your power, Tasha? You're just letting him decide what he wants to do when he wants to do it and waiting for him to decide what he wants to do. Are you happy in the relationship? Do you want to move on? Do you feel like you can be treated better? Do you feel like he's being fair in what he's doing? You can certainly send your story into writemac.com and I'll give you my take in a video if you have a story to tell about what's going on, even if it's pre-breakup. But you have to ask yourself, what do you want as an individual, Tasha? Quit waiting for him to dictate terms. Are you fairly being screamed at? So a lot of people, they sometimes threatening to break up is just a tactic to get someone's full attention. Do you understand what I mean by that? If it works every time, what people do is they bring you down. It's almost like, in a movie when someone's got a knife to someone and then they got to make a decision. And if it works, they'll repeat that method over and over again. I know in relationships I've had, when someone brings that up, I go, you better be damn serious, because I don't play with that. I don't joke around when it comes to, like, you don't use that as a threat tactic to get me to heal or to get me to to get me to listen to your side of the story or something like that. You don't threaten to break up if we're in a serious long-term relationship, especially 8 years. That's a dirty tactic. I don't know. I like comfort. I don't need anyone to give me butterflies, because I think the people I trust the most in life give me certainty that I can depend on. Well, fair play. I don't know. I like comfort. I'm good. Or they're hesitant to show signs that they possibly are moving on if they still care. Absolutely. Tasha C. So we had a few different people. Nico, where are you from? Tasha, where are you from? If you want to share. Sometimes people don't want to tell you where you're from. I'm just curious sometimes. Ayuk stopped in. He said thank you. Maybe we got a couple other stories. BU's a regular now. Brian Union, Luna Martinez, Daryl Campbell. This has been a spirited chat today, and I appreciate it, folks. This has been good. We've helped some people today, right? I understand what you're saying, Mac. I think I had the nasty habit that I had to change. I was young and immature, and I knew my ex loved me a lot, and would jokingly block her. You would jokingly block her, using it as a tactic erodes trust and safety. I think so. New Jersey. We got a few people that are on the show regularly from Jersey. Wildwood. That's the only place I know in Jersey. Thanks, Tasha. You love the channel? I appreciate that, man. Looking back, it came back to bite me. West Virginia, home of Jerry West, I believe, of all places. West Virginia. Yeah, using that as a tactic is bad. Charlotte, oh my God. Lisa Smith, there are so many people from North Carolina and South Carolina that come on this channel. It's amazing. It's probably the two most popular states that I come across that like this channel. I'm trying to think. Someone earlier on was in South Carolina, but Charlotte, you're a Hornets fan? Must be a nice place. Nice people. Hippie chick was from there. There's someone else that comes on quite frequently that's always in Myrtle Beach. That's South Carolina, though, if I'm correct. All right, folks. Any closing questions? No one's a Hornets fan. Yeah, Skinner. Oh man, they're not a good franchise, that's for sure. As far as they're, you know what makes a bad franchise is drafting bad. I know the Warriors used to do it. Why are men attracted to mystery and distance, Coach? Do you have a video on that already? I think that let me rephrase that. I think that women are more attracted to mystery and distance than men. Seth drops in to drop gloves on the Hornets too. They make some bad signings. What's up, Matt? Good to see you, bud. I'm going to send you an email and see how you've been. Why are men attracted? I don't think men are as attracted to mystery and distance. I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that. Women, I find, are more like that. Okay. Men are actually attracted to loyalty in a long-term relationship. Loyalty, connection, and of course, attraction. If a man's gonna be with a woman long term, I'll tell you one that I haven't talked about this. I should do this. We should talk about this because some women say that I come from a man's perspective too often. Well, I am a man. I've done a video a while back on how to keep a man attracted. And out of the 500 videos, I don't know which one it is, but out of the 500 videos, yeah, I'm sorry, I just lost my train of thought there. This is what happens when the live stream starts cooking, and I've been on for an hour and 40 minutes talking. What I would say about the men are very attracted to loyalty, and I'll add one, and men, let me know if you agree with this. And I'm just talking about if you're looking for a long-term relationship, like a boyfriend. I'll tell you the one that women that are clingy and needy, men will accept more than women would accept a man that's needy and clingy. But in my book, a woman that can embarrass you in public with being drunk or flirtatious or risque, if you will, I think that's a big one for a lot of men. Brand New Skinner, you used the term secondhand embarrassment. There was a woman that I did live coaching with early on in this channel, and she was in her 30s, lived in LA, and she had a drinking problem. She told me, she was honest. She was good looking. very confident in her looks and whatnot. But she would go out drinking and partying with these guys. And she's asking me, why, I know I have to watch my drinking and this and that. I'm like, well, if you get drunk, it's not a big deal if someone's picking you up or, you just meet for the first time. But if that's your girlfriend and you're acting, like I said, flirtatious or over the top or embarrassing, that's more of an issue for men. I think men care about that a little bit more. On deck last minute. No one truly knows who's going to pan out. So I know it's tough to be the one who drafts for a team. Sorry, dude. In my book, what the problem is with drafting in the NBA, and sorry for the people that don't come on here for the NBA, they don't look at guys' actual character. Like when someone drafts someone just based on athleticism and how high they can jump and whatnot, they don't look at their tenacity, their will. They're horrible GMs. Just sold a big portion of the team, but remains in control, if I read the headline correctly. I just read that also. Jeremy says, what's your take on nightclubs? In what way? To meet women, to pick up women? I would say that you're focusing probably on, one night stands. You're focusing on having a good time. You're obviously capable of meeting a good woman there, but I think it's far and few between. And it depends on your age. And you have to ask yourself, are you a nightclub guy? There was a guy that I was doing some coaching with that he was Indian and he lived in New York. Cool dude, actually. Really cool, actually. Why not? He was cool. And he was in his early 20s and he had an accent, right? Like an Indian accent. And so he said he was going into nightclubs and he just wasn't that confident in cold approaches, let alone a nightclub. And his accent, he was very embarrassed by it. So I just told him, I said, what are you good at? And he was really good at school. He got really good grades and whatnot. I'm like, you need to stop going to nightclubs and approaching women in a cold situation, a cold approach when you're not confident even about your accent, right? That's not the best place for you to meet individuals. And so it's an open question. So I love the male perspective. That's what I would say, Lisa. If you're looking for a long-term relationship, most men value loyalty, they value connection, and they want their morals and their values to line up, and they want support on what they're doing. Men, would you agree with that? I'll post the details on the site. Is over. So this is mostly for learning purposes for other guys. Thanks. You're the best at this and didn't find you until a couple of days ago. Well, thanks, Nico. I appreciate it, bud. Have a good one. So true. Can't stand clingy. I can't stand clingy women. Some guys actually like it. I've met guys before that like clingy women that makes them feel needed, I guess. Where I think women just can't stand clingy guys at all. Overall, I think most people do. I feel girls go to nightclubs just to dance. I mean, it's certainly possible. The thing about if you go to a nightclub, correct me if I'm wrong, you're dealing with crowds, not individuals. And so let's say you approach let's say you see a woman at the bar that's attractive. You guys make eye contact, which is how it starts. I've never been one like, let me buy you a drink. I think that's like kind of a lame line. But whatever you do and you start talking and then she goes, oh, my friends are sitting over there. Then you got the queen bee of the 5 women that you got to deal with. And it just creates a situation that's not as ideal as if you just went out on a date. You're almost better at the nightclub getting a number and then peeling off and doing your own thing and just having a good time rather than following that woman around and trying to please her, because eventually if she's with another group of women, the other group of women are going to be jealous that you're not showing them attention, and they're going to create a bad situation a lot of times, and you're going to have to maneuver out of that because they're all going to be asking you questions, and the queen bee will especially be doing that. I like men's perspective. Screw nightclubs. And they're expensive, right? Wiggins? What about Wiggins? Was that what you're talking about? Wiggins being you're talking about Wiggins being the prototypical athletic type with not the right attitude. I mean, look at this, Skinner, on hoops. Look at the guys that are winners: Tim Duncan, Larry Bird, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. These dudes aren't even athletic, right? and they're perennial all-stars. But you know what? They're stoics. They work their asses off, and they just fucking win, dude. They win at all levels. And then you got people like Michael Jordan, Kobe. They got it all, right? They're just intense dudes that believe in themselves, that are high competitors. If I was someone, I'd rather draft Jay Crowder than Wiggins, because that guy's going to help me win more games probably. Now, that's deep knowledge, if you know what I mean by that. I want to meet women. Where can I meet women besides nightclubs? Well, you want to meet women where you are able to have a conversation and common ground quite easily. So if you're someone that goes to the gym and you're in good shape, that's a good one. If you're someone that likes and loves wine and you know a lot about wine, then go to wine festivals. If you're someone that, you want to create a situation where you're meeting women in common ground areas. And this is why so many people meet people at work, because they have common ground built in. If you've ever worked at a job where you work with other women, it's a matter of time before you start going out, not necessarily with them, but with their group of friends. It's already built in. Wiggins can get you 20, 25 points on 30 shots, but it's cool. Yeah, it's not efficient, though. That's not efficient. That's not winning basketball, dude. Give me Malcolm Brogdon over him, dude. Is it okay to let my boyfriend go to the club or bar every week with his buddies? I would say you always want to give him the benefit of the doubt if you trust him, but is that a habit that's getting out of hand? My friends think I'm crazy for giving him freedom. If you trust him until he does something wrong, there's certain guys that's their thing, to go to the bar every weekend and watch ball games, and they can be monogamous. And so that's up to you. But I will say, I will say that, is that a habit in a guy or a boyfriend? Is that a habit that you want to support over a long period of time? That would be the question, more than not trusting him. Because if you're in a really good relationship, you give him the benefit of the doubt because you trust him. Salutations. I don't know what you mean. I feel girls go to nightclubs just to dance. And it must be said, I am not sure that alcohol is the best of drugs to be starting any kind of relationship. That's true. That's true. People act different than themselves on alcohol. Thanks for the likes, folks. We just got a little injection of new live streamers. So I'll carry on for another 10 minutes. Don't think I have any comments today. I think I came a bit late. No problem, Dylan. Well, I appreciate you dropping in and giving me a couple likes. I want to meet women where I can meet women besides clubs. Wiggins, yeah, I know it's a joke. It's like I'd rather go to strip clubs. Well, there you go. It's just, Jeremy, well, how old are you? Where you at in the world? I'm looking for a casual relationship. A casual relationship? Well, shit, man. Never buy an unknown woman a drink. It screams of desperate. That's never been my thing. That's never been my thing. No. And someone might go, oh, you're cheap. Well, you're just trying to buy attraction, dude. I've had drinks bought for me. I've bought drinks before, but not as a invitation to get to know me. Yes, let him go out with his friends. He'll actually miss you more if you're good with it. Yeah, I mean, Lisa, if it's every weekend where it's just become a bad habit and they're getting wasted and they're being reckless, coming home drunk and driving or things like that. But if he goes out with his buddies and watches ball games and they play sports or do that, and you're able to accept that and you're comfortable with accepting it, don't let your friends dictate your relationships. A lot of times your friends are jealous because they don't have anyone. It's the friend that doesn't have a boyfriend or is cheated on that always gets in the other friend's ear and tries to hate on things. 29 is a great age, dude. That's a great age to be at, man. You're at the pinnacle of manhood. Lisa, he is trying to get laid at nightclubs like me. Well, that's nice of you, Jeremy. That's very kind of you. That makes her feel. Daniel Jones drops in for an LOL. I mean, I could do a whole thing on nightclubs, or what even qualifies as a nightclub? I don't know. I would say this. Certain people do really well in nightclubs. Number one, you like to dance. You really like to dance. You like to be whispering in someone's ear and getting close. You like drinking lots of alcohol. You excel when you drink alcohol. You like being in large groups. You do well in large groups. Well, then a nightclub's a good place for you. The people that don't like crowds, that don't love getting drunk, the people that don't like competing in large groups for attention, well, nightclubs aren't for you. But there are people that, hey, man, they excel in them, right? They excel. I'll be honest, in my lifetime, it hasn't been my best hunting grounds, that's for sure. First, nobody is dancing at nightclubs. I thought you said earlier that everybody goes there to dance. Again, I don't know what your idea of a dance club is, so we could be, I mean, a nightclub is. Oh, grinding. Okay. Dirty dancing. Sorry. Been out of the game. Jeremy, where do you live in the world? Where are you at? Just out of curiosity, if you can drop that. Grinding. We used to call it freaking when I was a kid. The freaking. I don't dance. I just freak. I've always been good at getting bartenders and waitresses. Not sure why. Kind of a demographic. Jersey also? We got another Jersey. Northern New Jersey. I've always been good. Well, that's cool. I would say that they give out their number a lot because they get a good tip, though. Not to rain on your parade, but I remember I was in Lake Tahoe. This is 4 or 5 years back, and it was my girlfriend and my mom, and we were at like an outdoor, I don't know, this outdoor bar. It was really cool though. They had fire, like a fire outside, and they had pictures of a blue moon and some other things. And we were drinking, and the waitress comes over and she's like, "Oh my God, you live in Thailand?" She starts asking me, I've always wanted to go there. Shows all this interest and da da da. And I'm, I've had a few beers. I'm like, "Oh yeah, you ever want to come? Da 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 da. Let me know." And then afterwards, I gave her a really good tip, and I was like, "Wow, that was really smart." Because she probably will never go to Thailand or any of those things, but she was creating common ground. I used to be in sales, creating common ground and rapport, making myself feel like someone, special and helpful to her. And then when the tip came, I was like, "Oh man, she's a great one." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Here's my email. If you need if you ever come to Thailand or have questions." So sometimes waitresses and bartenders, are you actually executing and hooking up with them? Or are they giving you their phone number or number, inhibiting a tip? What is the best way to teach a man not to take you for granted? Your name's Daniel Jones, and feel like I'm too available. So Daniel Jones, are you a woman or a man? I've always been good at getting bartenders and waiters, not sure why. What is the best way to teach a man not to take you for granted? Well, have self-respect is what I would say. Have self-respect, have good values, lead with good intentions. Don't take things personally. Be a good human. Mac, if you don't mind sharing, why did your last relationship end? The last relationship I had end? Long distance. The short part of it, the long distance got old. We had what turned into an LDR got longer and longer. So the last one, yeah. I wouldn't go to a nightclub to dirty dance and find a girl. I'd rather just find one somewhere else. Dirty dance. Oh no, that was a great movie. That was a great movie. The only thing better than nightclubs are galas. What's a gala? I'm going to start that gaming. Gouchy the gamer. Oh, masculine energy comes in with a late hook. In big cities, there will be a big gala, charity balls. Okay. It's like the fireman's ball or things like that. What do you think about the ninja headband ban? It's ridiculous, dude. You should be able to wear a band, whatever you want to call it, ninja band. Masculine energy. The topic was masculine energy today and how to improve masculine energy. You got any tips, Kyle, for improvement of masculine energy? Maybe I'll go over Where are you from, sir? I'm from the Bay Area. Grew up near San Francisco. What do you think about the Ninja Headband ban? So I'll just share with you guys really quick. How to increase your masculine energy top 10. Join a team of men with a common goal, right? So this is talking about increasing masculine energy or increasing masculinity. Number 2, have a competitive meetup with men. Poker night, basketball. Some of you guys do gaming. Number 3, choose a career where you primarily work with men. Baseball. So if you look at baseball as a sport, it's actually not physically, well, it's not like American football, but baseball is very masculine. Everyone's got a beard. Military, police, firemen, all these jobs breed masculinity. Number 4, get physical. Use your body to push yourself, get stronger from your job or the gym. If you got a job that makes you stronger, makes you lift weights, that's good. 5, grow a beard. Grow your hair long. Number 6, don't care what people think of you. If you want to be more masculine, don't give a fuck. Number 7, laugh at threats. No fear. Number 8, have clear principles. You keep your word. You are always on time. You don't make assumptions. Those are examples of clear principles you don't break that are admirable. Number 9, have ambitious goals you are working for at all times. This doesn't mean that you complete ambitious goals and take a rest. I talked about this. Many get caught up with the glory days of when they had ambitious goals and they made them happen. And then now they are just in a holding zone. Number 10, flirt with women unapologetically. Have you guys ever seen the most interesting man commercials for Dos Equis? That guy is masculine. Be yourself at all times with women. Number 11, the bonus one, never chase women or repeatedly apologize to them. So those are my top 10. If you guys have a couple, let me know. Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about the Ninja Headband ban? Gala. Were you waiting? We were waiting for you. Daniel Jones. Oh, like Matt. I don't know who Matt Cross is. Paraphrasing Corey Wayne, the best way to get someone's attention is to remove yours. What up, masculine energy? What up, life goals? Be a badass. Matt Cross is one funny dude. I don't know who Matt Cross is. 33 Secrets. Love your channel too. Your videos are the best. 10 Learn to Fix Cars. They really help me feel better every time I watch them. Mac, I've actually got a little story to tell you. I'll take a few comments to explain it. Due to a flashback, my ex, I think it happened after I sent my second story. All good points, bud. Right on, masculine energy. You got one that I missed that you want to throw out there in the wind? You want to throw some masculine energy on top of the masculine energy tips? Matt Cross is the guy from 33 Secrets, Alpha Secrets. Okay. Matt Cross, interesting name. Look him up. Okay. Sounds interesting. 33 Secrets. It sounds so familiar for some reason. I don't know why. I'm going on 2 hours and 2 minutes here without a drink of water. Gouchy the Gamer. Gouchy the Gamer. That's an interesting name. Life goals. It's interesting how people choose their tag name. When I was a kid, people used to have tag names. This is what you'd write on the walls or spray paint. And it's like some of the things people choose. Is the internet good in Thailand? It's actually very good. What's your take on RSD? RSD? What's RSD? And what? I don't know what that is. You don't know what RSD is? No, I'm telling you. Off the top of my head, the only thing I would add is just getting comfortable being uncomfortable. Good point, dude. Good point. And appearing to be comfortable when you're uncomfortable in some ways, right? That's what a stoic does. Real social dynamics. I'm not familiar with that term. It's a Spanish name. Gauchi the Game. Are you from Spain? Yeah. Getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. I mean, the other part of after I learned that, my life changed a whole lot. Or even searching for uncomfortable situations to bust through, right? So, um, actually searching out uncomfortable situations, red pill awareness. Um, what I talked about in the beginning of the show was looking at 4 people that I've known for years that are highly masculine individuals. And you probably know some people, Kyle, you probably know some people, Rob, Jeremy, whoever's on deck right now. And looking at how they became that way is really interesting because of their life experiences, right? Like 2 of the people that I mentioned had military experience. They had jobs. My father's a highly masculine individual. He's a truck driver. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you guys know someone in your life that's 95% masculine? And a lot of times their jobs have made it that way, or their past life experiences. And the individuals that are highly feminine or not so masculine, a lot of it has to do with their jobs or their life experience. So like, it's like I mentioned my father. My dad was a Marine at 18 years old in Vietnam, and then he becomes a truck driver. He used to comb his hair straight back, and you know, it's the way he was raised. And he had 2 brothers that he shared a room with growing up that used to get in fights and arguments all the time. So it all adds up, right? I've met other people that, they have a lot of issues with their masculine side, and they grew up with, 4 sisters, and their father left when they were 5 years old and they had no father figure. That's not necessarily them just being beta. That's their life experience. And so they have to, rework that into their subconscious. It's not my point of making this live stream was more or less to not point out the obvious, because I think a lot of people are doing that. Oh, this guy's just, beta, or this guy's just femme. Well, no, he didn't plan to do that, dude. And so these are things like masculine energy mentions. Search out being uncomfortable, because that's what's going to challenge you. You know, do more activities with other men, put yourself in competitive situations more often. These are things that will up the ante on your masculinity, right? Don't try so hard. Just be you. Be you. What time is it over there, guys? It's 12:30 p.m. over here, and you guys must be in the eons. This must be East Coast time, a lot of you. So funny. When I first started this channel, it was a lot of people from California. Now it's a lot of people from East Coast. Any closing questions, folks? Every time I say this, I said this about 40 minutes ago. Yeah, man, after my breakups, I was super beta. I learned very quickly that it was not a good way to be. And so, what's really cool about that, dude, is what I like about that, Kyle, you have a channel called Masculine Energy. You're pushing masculine energy, but you're also admitting that you haven't always been this way. And it probably took, your breakup and being that way for you to get up off the mat and go on fucking offense. And it's just so funny because I meet so many people in live coaching sessions, and it's like someone can't change like that. You got to get to the roots of why they're like that, and they want to change it, right? You know what I mean? I find that we have such a spectator culture now, like, because I'm a basketball fan, NBA fan, sports, and everyone just points out what everyone's doing wrong, but no one's going like, I've heard this in politics. I'm not into politics. I'm not going to take this fucking live stream there. But I've heard people do this. Well, this is the problem. This is the problem. I don't know what the answer is. It's like, well, what the fuck are we talking about here? And that's the point of my thing now. If someone's not being masculine, let's not call the guy a wuss and a weenie 10 times over. Let's go, wait a minute. This is probably not his fault. He probably had a different raising than we did and a different life experience. But at some point, if he doesn't want to read the books or do the work, that's on him, right? You have to tackle it head on. Look at who you want to be, what things you want out of your life. You literally have to the power to make it happen. I can wait to talk to you live. I can't wait to talk to you live, bro. Yeah, we'll talk soon. Yeah, we got a lot of similarities. I like the way you look at things too, bud, because like I said, it's the spectator culture. This isn't everyone either. I just find this where everyone gets on the bandwagon of being a critic to everyone else. It's like, why don't you offer some people some tips? Why don't you offer some people a little bit of compassion mixed with a little bit of suggestion, mixed with a little bit of criticism, instead of just going, yeah, you did this wrong, stupid. It's like what everyone does with the NBA news now. It's like, oh, this guy did this now, this guy did that now. Let's see how he fucking plays. Let's see how he fucking plays ball. My grandpa was a truck driver, and he taught me how to drive, but in a masculine way. Yep, truck drivers. Union? Was he union, Felipe? That's a big thing to be in the union and all that stuff. All my grandfather, my great-grandfather, my uncles, all union for truck driving, which is, I think the truck driving is going to be done by robots pretty soon. I was out walking on a track in a really small town next to the sea. I walked further than what I normally went. I stopped for a rest, and I realized I was at the place where I spent a day with my ex. Don't put yourself in those situations, dude. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and we call people from the army, but my friend started calling me Gawachai because I was in a army class in high school. Okay. Dominican Republic, you're the first person I've heard of from there. Welcome, dude. It's amazing the reach this has. I was at a little beach area where I remember spending the day with my ex and her family on. Oh my God, it brought back memories. It happened a few years ago. Well, just be thankful for the memories and keep moving, bud. In that moment, find the good parts, pocket those, release the bad parts, and move forward. Ever been to Point Reyes, Cali? Of course I've been to Point Reyes. I was just in Sausalito on a salmon trip. That was rigorous, dude. Point Reyes is close to there, right? Close to Sausalito. What's your life goals? Life goals? And the time is 1:31 a.m. over here. Well, thanks. You're a night owl, aren't you? I can't stand how people have a bias for negativity these days. Almost like it's cool to be angry and negative. Good point, dude. Cool. I mean, there's certain levels where we all are susceptible to it, but like I said, the culture of being a critical spectator, right? And I'm just talking about from being an NBA fan and watching, going on YouTube and wanting to watch my highlight clips. Now there's 15 shows that just dissect everything about the ball player, right? And it's like, damn, it must be hard to be a ball player. Now, I know you make a ton of money, but everything you do, and then you got some guy like Brian Windhorst, who's never been an athlete in his life, and this guy's critiquing people. Man, if I was the NBA or, I was a movie star, I would create my own tabloids about the people that do tabloids. I would just, it's just too much. I was visited at Point Reyes a few months back while staying in Oakland. It was beautiful. You live in Oakland? Oaktown, I got an A's hat in the other room, dude. Point Reyes is nice. Yeah. I grew up in the Bay. I grew up in San Mateo. Where are you from, Life Goals? About 10 minutes from SFO. You know what's crazy about that, Kyle, about the negative thing? When you start doing what we're doing and we're constantly, I don't want to maybe negotiating or helping people reframe situations. And it's not all rose petals and wine glasses, right? It's not all like, oh, I'm going to make it so great for you. No, it's more like, let me reframe this into a way that's more empowering to your future and more empowering to you moving forward. Let me create a different map than you're looking at that's realistic, but it's more solid and it's going to get you out of the woods, right? But you're around people that are extremely negative. They don't even want to see that shit. And when you start seeing that, you start to cut anchor on those people more and more. And that's growth. Highly successful people, they're absolutely incredibly skilled at cutting anchor from people that aren't serving them moving forward or not as supportive. They're very good at that. To be honest, girls love people because I was with a girl and she left me and went to her ex. I don't know what you mean by that. I stood there looking shocked, upset, and everything. I had Excuse me, this is when I need water. I had every emotion running through my head, and 5 minutes later, I was out of there, while saying over and over, I wish I never left you. Well, just tell yourself right now, Dylan, that you did the right thing, that you moved on, you've moved forward, and you're a different individual now. And that was just a moment. It's not your life. That doesn't define you, bro. Nah, I road tripped from the Twin Cities in Minnesota, home of Kevin McHale, the Golden Gophers, right? The land of 10,000 lakes and Jesse Ventura. I processed quick, huh? You say Minnesota, I got 5 different things to tell you. T-Wolves, Isaiah Ryder. All right, folks, this has been a good one. Hope you had a good time, and Cali, and I'd love to go to Minnesota one day, do some fishing in the 10,000 lakes. What do you guys fish out there? The muskie, little ice fishing. Oh, I know it's Minnesota. Coach, the show Coach. Remember that show Coach? I don't know how old you are, Life Goals, so maybe you don't know that show. Muskie and Northern Pike, right? Coach was a great show. Great show. We got 10 on deck. We got 11 likes. I appreciate you guys. This has been spirited. It's been fun. It's been good. It's been a wide variety. I did 2 hours and 15 minutes. I'd say it was a good day already. You've usually we hit the wall right here. Well, I'm going to close it out on that note, since we don't have any closing thoughts here. Dylan didn't feel right leaving her that day, and I regretted leaving her for the ages. But now I've moved on and grown up since then. I'm ready for a new start. That is fucking outstanding, Dylan, DB. The idea that you're ready for a new start is a big statement. I'm real sorry if you can't understand some of the words that I send because it's Spanish. I don't know that much English. Oh, no problem. You don't have to apologize. Just because I don't understand doesn't mean I don't appreciate you entering the live stream and doing your best with the Spanish, dude. That's not a negative. Felipe, you've been here since the beginning. Thanks for contributing. It's been grand. All right, folks, it's Kurt.